Hello, everybody, and good morning to you. Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. We have made it to another Friday. I have lost track of the weeks in terms of how long we've all been, kind of sheltering in place. But we made it another week, and here we are to look at some art and do some drawing. So, not a bad day, right? Thank you for tuning in. It looks like we've got Cynthia here and ready, which is awesome. Celeste is here. Mary is in Indiana, fellow Midwesterner. We've got Robert in California, Janice, Jason, Carol, Tina, and yes, it's May Day, so happy May Day to all of you. But let's get started. I wanted to share some art with you guys that's been popping up in the schoolyard this week. So this art came from the workshop that we had last weekend with Kosha. And I loved this exercise that Kosha had in her workshop where you actually draw the same object 4 times with a different medium. And this is Michael's drawing, and he did a shoe, and he did this shoe 4 different times, 4 different ways. And I love that you can kind of see a different sort of personality in each of these objects with different materials. So that's definitely something fun that I would love to try. We also have Laura and Holly and Kat checking in too, which is great. Another piece of art from the workshop that I just loved, Janice shared this exercise that she did in Kosha's workshop, where she sketched some things that were in her bag and on her desk, her tabletop. And this drawing is so simple, but it is so effective, and I just love the composition that Janice got here with that, which is fantastic. Another piece of art from the workshop that Allie did was actually of our musical guest, Cal Scott, who's a sketchbook school student. And I think students had a lot of fun capturing him in their sketchbooks, so that was really cool. And another drawing that someone did in the workshop, she added a splash of color. Leslie did this really fun little drawing of snippets of things around her, at her desk and in her surroundings. So that was really fun, and it looks like you guys had a blast at the workshop. And we've got another one coming up in a couple weeks with Onmar Wynn, so check out our website if you want to get in on that. We've got other people checking in too, which is great. Valentina is here. Chris is in Michigan. Lisa, S Arts, and Anka is also here. Excellent. So great to see you. And I also want to share some art that you guys made during our drawing parties this last week that I just loved in the schoolyard. So Danny had a drawing party where he featured sheep. Some sheep videos, and Karen did this awesome drawing, and she was able to capture a lot in a little short snippet of these sheep, and I just love the color that she used and how minimal her lines were, but it's a really effective drawing, so thanks for sharing that, Karen. Amanda did this doodle with blobs of color during Kosha's drawing party, and I think that this could honestly be a fabric print or a pattern. I just love how this turned out with these different characters and different colors. So nice work, Amanda. And Martine did this drawing with Kosha during a drawing party on King's Day. So that's a really big holiday in the Netherlands, and the color orange is the official color for that holiday. And she did this awesome little spread of all sorts of orange things, which is great. And it's really fun to work in mostly 1 or 2 colors because I think it's a fun limit to try to play with, and you still get a really good variety in your drawings here. So Martine, thank you for sharing that. And just some other projects that you all have been doing. I know people kind of come up with their own challenges and try to work on their own creative pursuits outside of the drawing parties and courses at Sketchbook School. Jennifer Linderman did this beautiful portrait through embroidery. So she did this on fabric, and I think it just turned out so beautifully. And it's not something that I've typically seen a lot of, and so I think it's a really great way to play with line, but doing so in thread. So Jennifer, thanks for sharing that with us. It's really beautiful. And John shared this drawing that made me chuckle. This was kind of in honor of a diner that he was familiar with, and just really talking about small businesses and restaurants that are really struggling right now. And I think it's a great idea to commemorate them and honor them and hopefully give them our business, even if it's just for carry out. But John, I loved this drawing of yours, this cartoon sort of. It has a Wild Wild West vibe, and I thought it was really fun. Looks like Erin is also checking in, which is great. Good to see you. And one other piece of art from the schoolyard that made me chuckle because I right now am planting my garden for spring was Linda did this drawing, and it kind of revolved around whether or not she should tell her significant other about all the plants that she ordered. And I just loved her little details on this drawing. I'm going to make it bigger so you can see. But it's this cutesy little cartoon, and her cats are talking about hiding the fact that she ordered all these plants from her significant other. And I just thought that was a really cute, funny cartoon as I plan out my own garden. So, it's clear that you guys were really busy this week in the schoolyard, making lots of excellent art. And I hope that you all continue and keep sharing it with us because I love seeing it and I love sharing it on these bulletins. So now we have come to the time where we are going to draw for a little bit together. And for today's drawing prompt, I want you all to kind of take a pause and we're going to go down memory lane. And I want you to draw from memory a favorite childhood toy. So think of something that you maybe played with a lot as a kid. I don't know if you remember when you were a child, if there was one toy that you just kind of wore out because you played with it so much. Or something that you miss, maybe something that you played with as a child that doesn't exist anymore, or something that you played with that maybe you have your own children and you bought for them and they weren't as enthusiastic about it, but you were really excited. So for me, I'm just going to put a picture up of what my toy is going to be. But I used to love Lincoln Logs. I loved how they felt, I loved how they smelled, which sounds weird, but these little wooden building blocks essentially. And that's what I'm going to focus on for my favorite childhood toy. So what I want you to do is grab a sketchbook or a piece of paper or a Post-it note. I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes. And for me, this will be my first drawing of the day. And I just think it's a nice time to kind of pause and get the sketchbook out and do something, whether this is the end of your day or the start of your day. Let's do a little drawing. So I'm going to set the timer, and I want you to grab your sketchbook, or like I said, any piece of paper, any material that you have on hand, and we're going to draw a favorite childhood toy from memory. So I want you to think about what that is, and I'm going to hit start on our timer. Hopefully you heard that. And I am going to draw some Lincoln Logs, because that was my favorite toy. And I just loved thinking about this because it kind of sort of took me back a little bit to when I was a kid. And just things that, you know, kind of let you play with your imagination, but also are structured enough that you don't feel overwhelmed or freaked out by them. So I'm going to do these Lincoln Logs, and I just remember making these little cabins. And of course, the fun part is destroying things after you make them, especially for a kid. So that was a lot of fun as well. But I'm really curious to see what you guys played with as kids. You know, what were really popular toys when you were growing up? And what were the things that got you really excited? I'm definitely curious. And I loved that Lincoln Logs were, you know, easy to use and super accessible. And they lasted a long time. I remember playing with these for a long time as a kid. So I'm curious to hear and hopefully in the schoolyard see what you all are drawing as your, you know, favorite childhood toys. So for those of you that are just hopping on, we are drawing a favorite childhood toy from memory. So I am drawing these Lincoln Logs. And it really makes me want to play with them again. It's kind of getting me in the mood for building something and tinkering with something, so that's fun. So yeah, I don't have these anymore. I wish my mom kept them, but you know, as your kids grow up and move out and all that and become adults, you don't want to keep all their toys lying around. It's kind of tricky. So these do not exist anymore, at least in my old household, my parents. So it looks like Doris and Lydia and Elena are also hopping in, which is great. To those of you that just tuned in, we've got a timer going. We have a couple minutes left, and we are actually drawing a favorite toy from childhood from memory. So that is what we have going on right now. And I am drawing these Lincoln Logs that I put up on the screen, because that's my favorite childhood toy. And I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with for yours. And I know people from all over the world, and everyone's a different age mostly here. We cover a lot of age demographics. I'll be really curious to see what those toys were from your childhood that got you really excited and really pumped up. So I'm working on these Lincoln Logs. And I remember not being able to make a perfect cabin like this when I was a kid. But at any rate, it was a toy that allowed me to be creative and have fun. So I really enjoyed it for that reason. So I am just going to keep on sketching this. And I would love to see in the chat and also in the schoolyard, what were some of your favorite toys, as a kid? What were some of the things that got you really excited when you were little? Things that you wanted to play with. Maybe it was a toy that someone else had that you saw and really loved, or got to covet from your siblings, maybe. But yeah, I'm curious, what were the things that, made you tick as a little kid? I know kids can make toys out of anything, which is awesome. But I'm curious, what were some of the toys that you guys played with as little kids? And I also think it's funny to try and remember these things from memory and then maybe see them online or Google a photo and see maybe how far off you were. I'm remembering that my Lincoln Logs were rainbow colored, which was kind of bizarre. But these are natural wood color. Oh, and that was our timer. That was 4 minutes. I basically got half a log cabin done in that 4 minutes. But this is what I have so far, and I will finish this up later. Maybe give it a little fire in the fireplace or something. But I'm really curious to see what you guys came up with. It looks like Mary mentioned Weeble Wobbles, but they don't fall down. Yes, that was a popular toy, definitely. Also, it looks like Doris had a similar thought on that toy. And I also remember as a kid, my parents bought certain toys that I just wasn't interested in, but I think my mom really liked them, so she probably bought them so she could play with them. There's also nothing wrong with that, bringing out your inner child. But thank you for joining me for that little drawing moment. And if you're on social media or in the schoolyard, I would love to see what you came up with. Holly just mentioned a Lite-Brite. I loved Lite-Brites. I lost those little glass beads a lot, but pretty sure our family vacuum cleaner ate a lot of those. But yeah, Lite-Brites were a lot of fun. Nice creative toy. And Donette mentioned a Barbie doll. Barbies are also really great. You could always dress them up and, have all those accessories. That were a lot of fun. And it looks like Erin drew her Cabbage Patch doll, which is awesome. I remember when Cabbage Patch dolls were super popular. So those were really fun to play with. And thanks for sharing that, Erin. And Susan is talking about an Etch-a-Sketch. Also another artistically inclined kind of creative toy to play with. So these are all really great kind of things to remember and think about. And Lydia is talking about Play-Doh. That definitely counts as a toy. Maybe you could draw some of the things that you sculpted with Play-Doh. Definitely that would be an interesting drawing. And Diana also mentioned Lincoln Logs and blocks. And yeah, I think now that we're just talking about toys, I just want to play with these Lincoln Logs again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my drawing, but I hope that you have an awesome Friday. Thank you for tuning in, for joining me for this little update. And have a great weekend and stay safe and healthy wherever you're at. Thank you.